You are listening to the Vocal Technologist. Spoken tech for your ears.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back. I'm your host, and you're listening to the Vocal Technologist. And I have to say, we have to talk about the date. It is Friday, February 13th, 2026.
It is the one date that just, it strikes a very specific kind of fear into anyone who's ever been on call.
Exactly. It's the ultimate read-only Friday. You don't push anything. You don't even look at the servers too hard.
You just hope for the best.
But, we like to tempt fate here, so we're sticking to our Tech Tuesdays format on a Friday, and we're going to dig into some developments that suggest the whole industry is kind of tempting fate right now.
That's a really good way to put it. I mean, if you look at the signals this week, it's this massive, almost chaotic convergence.
Right.
You've got AI agents basically rebuilding their own infrastructure, a threat landscape that is just, it's breaking records. And then, kind of weirdly, a big push for engineers to, put down the keyboard and pick up a pen.
It's this wild mix, isn't it? The super futuristic and the ancient. So, okay, let's unpack this. We have a lot of ground to cover. I want to start with what feels like a really fundamental shift in the developer stack.
You're talking about the emergence of Entire, huh?
I am. So Entire, new company, just came out of stealth with a $60 million seed round.
$60 million.
And they're pitching an AI native developer platform. And look, usually when I hear AI native, I'm skeptical. It's often just, a chat bot bolted onto a text editor.
Right.
But this feels different, especially their CLI tool.
It is different.
Yeah.
Because they're going after the whole black box problem of AI-generated code. The real innovation here is this thing they call checkpoints.
Okay, let's drill into that because I think this is the real aha moment here. For decades, the source of truth has been Git, right? We version the code, the text files.
The output.
The output. But Entire High is basically saying that in 2026, the output, it just isn't enough anymore.
Exactly. I mean, think about the workflow. If you use an agent to build a feature, there's a whole conversation. You prompt it, it reasons, it tries a tool, maybe it hallucinates, it corrects itself, and then it spits out the code.
And if you only commit that final code, you've lost the entire story of how you got there.
You've lost the why, the intent. It's like finding a cake in the kitchen with no recipe. You don't know why they used salt instead of sugar.
And that is so dangerous when you have to debug something.
Precisely. So these checkpoints, they version the entire agent session context. The prompts, the reasoning, the tool calls, all the metadata. They're versioning the mind of the software, not just its body.
That's a huge shift. It's like a lineage of logic. So if an agent writes a security flaw, you don't just see the bad code. You can rewind and see why it thought that was a good idea.
You can see where it got confused. It's moving from source control to, reasoning control. And honestly, if we're going to let agents touch production, we absolutely need that audit trail.
Speaking of agents touching the internet, there's another piece here that I think is it's brilliant in its simplicity. Cloudflare's new Markdown for Agents feature.
Oh yeah, this is a great efficiency play. It's so smart.
So just for context, the web is built for us, for humans. It's HTML, CSS, JavaScript. It's bloated. It's heavy.
It's full of tags just to make things look pretty.
Yeah.
And for an AI agent that's just trying to scrape data, all of that is just noise, expensive noise. Every one of those tags is a token, and every token costs money and time.
So Cloudflare's solution is kind of a negotiation layer.
Basically, yeah. If an agent hits a site and sends a special header, Cloudflare just strips out all the presentation gunk on the fly and serves back clean Markdown.
It's reformatting the web for robot eyes.
It is. And the economic impact of that is huge. It just slashes the token count. We're seeing the web split into two, really. An interface for us and this optimized text-only one for the synthetic workforce.
And that workforce is getting way smarter, too. I saw DigitalOcean just integrated Anthropic's Claude Opus 4.6. But the headline stat wasn't just the model. It was the context window.
1 million tokens.
1 million. I mean, to put that in perspective for you, that's like, it's an entire bookshelf. It's all of Harry Potter and Lord of the Rings, all held in memory at once.
It's enormous. And it completely changes how you approach a problem. A year ago, to get an AI to understand your code base, you had to do all this complex RG stuff.
Right. Retrieval augmented generation, chopping up your code into little pieces, putting it in a vector database.
Yeah.
It was a mess.
And it often missed the big picture. With 1 million tokens, you just, feed it the whole thing, the entire monolith from 2018, spaghetti code and all, and you can just say, refactor this.
And it can actually see the whole picture. It sees the variable on line 10 and how it's being misused 50,000 lines later.
It allows for a kind of holistic reasoning that just
Right.
wasn't possible before.
That's the dream, for sure. But it's also the danger. You're giving these things massive context, an optimized web to read, and complex reasoning. Power without control is, well, it's usually a production outage.
Or a massive compliance headache, which I think brings us neatly to the governance side of all this, that piece on OpenClaw.
OpenClaw. Yeah, it sounds like a James Bond villain's evil plan, but it's really about a huge gap in DevOps.
A critical gap. As agents go from just suggesting code to actually executing deployments, the whole liability model has to change.
Right. Today, if a deployment fails, we ask, who made that commit?
But tomorrow the question is, which agent authorized this? And maybe more importantly, who authorized that agent?
It's the chain of command. You can't fire an algorithm if it decides to spin up 1,000 servers and bankrupts you overnight.
Exactly. You need an authority model for these non-human actors. You need an immutable audit trail for their decisions, just like you have for a person.
Which ties perfectly back to that entire platform, doesn't it? If you're not saving the reasoning, the checkpoints, you have nothing to audit.
You're flying blind.
So while the governance folks are worrying about that, the security teams actually got a bit of a gift from Docker.
Yes, the Docker hardened images, DHI. This is a pretty big deal for supply chain security.
And these used to be a paid thing, right? An enterprise feature.
They were, yeah. And for good reason. It's a lot of work to maintain them. But now Docker has made over 1,000 of them. Alpine, Debian, runtimes, all free.
But the real value isn't just that they're hardened. It's the VEX attestations that come with them.
VEX, Vulnerability Exploitability Exchange.
It's such a clunky name for such a great idea. So let's break that down. What does that actually mean for a developer?
It solves the scanner fatigue problem. You know, you run a security scan today and it just screams at you. Hundreds of critical vulnerabilities.
And most of them are total noise. It's a library that isn't even being used by your app. So people just start ignoring the warnings.
Yes, exactly. It's dashboard blindness. A VEX attestation is basically a note from Docker saying, hey, yes, that vulnerability technically exists in this library, but because of how we built this image, it's impossible to exploit. You can safely ignore it.
That's huge. It clears the noise so you can focus on the real fires. And speaking of massive fires, we have to talk about what's happening on the outside, because the bad guys are optimizing their botnets too.
The 2025 DDoS threat report from Cloudflare, I mean, the numbers are just, they're staggering.
121% surge in attacks last year. But the number that really got me was the peak bandwidth, 31.4 terabits per second.
It's a record. It's hard to even get your head around that number. It's like millions of HD movies streaming at once, all aimed at one target. You can knock a small country offline with that.
And the source. This Night Before Christmas campaign, it wasn't some sophisticated server farm.
No. And this is the really scary part. The botnet was mostly made of infected Android TV boxes.
Android TV boxes. So someone's watching a movie and their little set-top box is part of a massive cyber attack.
That's pretty much it. I mean, these things are cheap, they ship with default passwords, and they never ever get a firmware update. They're the perfect zombie army.
It's terrifying. And the threats aren't just coming from the outside, are they? We have this architectural issue in Kubernetes.
Ah, yes. The vulnerability that is officially a feature.
I love that framing. It's working as intended, so it's not a bug. But it sounds pretty bad.
It is. It's a design issue with read-only nodes. Basically, if an attacker gets low-level access to the kubelet process on a node, they can pretty much bypass authorization and run whatever they want.
So even with the front door locked, they can just climb in through a basement window and own the whole house.
That's a good analogy.
Yeah.
And the kicker is, a lot of monitoring and logging tools rely on this behavior. So if the Kubernetes team fixed it, they'd break a huge part of the observability ecosystem.
So the advice is just be careful.
The advice is mitigate. Restrict access, segment your networks. A real fix probably isn't coming until Kubernetes 1.36.
Patch your stuff, lock down your nodes, and maybe unplug your TV.
Sound advice for 2026.
Okay, let's pivot away from all the doom and gloom. Let's talk about performance. Go version 1.26 is out, and it has a new garbage collector called Green Tea.
Yes, a very calming name for a very complex bit of tech.
It sounds refreshing. My server was panicking, but I gave it some green tea. But what does it actually do differently?
It's about predictability. Instead of the garbage collector trying to guess how to balance CPU and memory, Green Tea lets you set a hard memory limit. and it just works to stay under that limit.
So it prevents those big memory spikes that kill your container.
Exactly. It makes performance much more predictable. And Go 1.26 also adds things like Go fix modernizers and experimental SIMD support.
SIMD, single instruction, multiple data. That's for heavy-duty math, right?
It is. It's a clear sign that Go is serious about high-performance computing, about AI workloads. It's moving into territory that was traditionally just for Python and C++ script.
Speaking of AI workloads, the way we measure their performance is changing too. It's not just, is the server up anymore?
No, the metrics are much more nuanced now. It's all about time to first token, or TTFT, and end-to-end latency.
Time to first token. That's the user experience, isn't it? That pause after you hit enter before the AI starts typing.
Exactly. And it's psychological. If it's too long, the AI feels slow or dumb. To get that instant response from these huge models like Kimi K2.5 with a trillion parameters, you have to get creative.
Which is where quantization comes in.
Yes. Low-bit inference is basically compressing the model's brain. Instead of using high-precision numbers for all the weights in the network, you crunch them down to lower precision formats.
So you're lowering the resolution of the math, basically?
You are. You lose a tiny bit of accuracy, but you gain a massive amount of speed, and you can fit these monster models onto way cheaper hardware.
Shrinking the math to fit the metal.
It's the only way this stuff becomes economically viable at scale.
Okay, we've covered the tech, the threats, the performance. I want to spend the last part of our chat on the most complicated part of the stack. The humans.
Always the trickiest component.
We've got this piece titled, Bash is Not Enough. And as someone who has duct taped together many CI/CD pipelines with shell scripts, I feel a little call out.
You shouldn't. It's a fair critique. Bash is great for simple, linear tasks to A, then B, then C, but modern build pipelines aren't lines, they're complex graphs.
And the argument is that Bash has no concept of isolation.
None. No artifact management, no resource awareness. You fire off 10 bash scripts on a build server, they have no idea the others exist. They might fight over a port, or one of them might just eat all the RAM and crash everything.
The classic works on my machine problem, but inside your CI system.
Precisely. We need real orchestration tools for this, not just text files full of commands.
And on the topic of engineering culture, there's a really strong message here about the hero trap.
This is one every senior engineer should read.
Yeah.
The idea is simple. Big tech companies don't actually need heroes.
But everyone wants to be the hero, right? Stay up all night, fix the big outage, save the launch.
It feels good. But you're probably just patching over a systemic failure. The argument is, if a system needs a hero to stay online, the system itself is broken.
So by constantly saving the day, you're actually stopping the company from feeling the pain it needs to feel to fix the real problem.
You are. And that heroism often goes unrewarded, because it's not what the company's formal incentives are built around. The advice is to stop trying to fix everything yourself and align your work with what's actually valued.
Stop being Batman, start being a city planner.
That's a great way to put it. And to help with that kind of clear thinking, we have a really surprising suggestion here, the engineering notebook.
And we should be clear, they don't mean a digital notebook, they mean paper.
A physical, handwritten, append-only notebook.
In 2026, when I have an AI that can literally record and summarize my entire life, why go back to a pen?
Because of all that. The argument is that the physical act of writing forces a different kind of thinking. It improves your memory. It forces you to slow down and synthesize your thoughts.
The analog revival. There's something to be said for a tool that doesn't have notifications.
A low-latency, high-fidelity tool for thinking.
And finally, a sort of counterpoint to all that planning, the argument against spec-driven development.
Right. The idea that you can't just write a perfect 50-page document, hand it to an AI or a developer, and expect perfect software to pop out.
Because, as they say, programming is discovery.
Exactly. You don't really understand the problem's edge cases until you start trying to build the solution. The map isn't the territory.
You have to actually walk the path.
Precisely.
So, to wrap this up on this Friday the 13th, we are building agents that are becoming the main users of the internet, and we're starting to version control their actual thoughts. We're fighting botnets made of our TVs, and maybe the best advice in all this chaos is to just sit down with a paper notebook.
It's a paradox, isn't it? The faster everything gets, the more we need to deliberately slow down our own thinking.
Here's my final thought for you then. Let's go back to that entire platform. If we start versioning the reasoning of our AI agents, their thought processes, their memories, are we, by accident, creating the world's first psychological history of software?
That's a really profound thought. We're not just debugging code anymore. We're debugging the mind that wrote the code.
It's not just get blame anymore, it's get psychoanalyze.
A fascinating and slightly unsettling future to think about.
On that note, I'm going to go check if my smart TV is part of a botnet. Thank you for tuning in today. Stay safe, deploy carefully, and we'll see you next time.
Goodbye.
Spoken Tech for your ears.